this meant that I was not waiting for people anymore. My judge, he drank decaf coffee, which, and we started when he was ready. I took his files out, put his files in a pile, his notepad and his couple pens. Yeah, no. And he had plea sheets. He had how to take a plea, and it was these horrible beat up sheets where he had used them so many times the corners were had broken off and all that. When he got ready to retire, I took his sheets, I typed them up neat and gave him a new set and told him, I said, "Oh, I threw the old ones away." He was all actually had them mounted, and they did a great job on it. But yeah,
You
we
mean flat mounted and
in a shadow box
so
with the beat up corners and everything. And the when I remember taking it into the art place, and the lady was like, "Do you want us to fix them?" I'm like, "No, put them in like just like that." He had flipped. I mean, he literally had flipped the corner so many times. It was just like the bottom corner was eaten away.
I forgot that he does this is shit. This is shit.
Hmm.
Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. How are you this morning?
I'm super.
Anywhere for the defendant?
You're on the right side, correct?
Thank you.
Have you spoken to the attorney's office this morning?
Yes, Your Honor, I did speak with the attorney briefly. Seems that we won't be able to come up with an agreement to get me out of there in January because I have no place to go. So I just as soon present what I have and see what happens.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Officer Brooks. How are you? So they were paving until 8:30 last night next door.
They work till 8.
Yep.
And
Nope.
no ordinance is inside.
This is 224793 LT. This is Romulus Tower versus Ricky Shipley. May I have your appearances, please?
Judge, good morning, Mayor. Please report Robert Novak appearing on behalf of the plaintiff. Rick Shipley, info for your honor.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for hearing on this non-payment of rent action. When the parties were here previously, I think it was Rick Herman on behalf of the plaintiff.
That's correct, Judge.
The issue was the balance. Mr. Shipley had documents that indicated that his balance owed was different than what the complex was showing. Have you had an opportunity to speak to him this morning?
I did, Judge. And Judge, what had happened was apparently this is a subsidized property. And Mr. Shipley, through his employer, submitted some documents for the recertification back in May and June. And with the recertification provided by his employer, Mr. Shipley's rent increased. And he hasn't paid any rent since the increase. So he would owe from June, July, August, September, October, and now November, plus late fees.
That is incorrect, Your Honor. May I proceed?
No, sir. When you don't have an agreement, then what happens next is that we go into the hearing and I'll swear in the witnesses and we'll take documents and we'll take testimony.
Thank you very much.
If you're ready, you have all necessary documents and witnesses, sir?
I do, Judge.
Same question, Mr. Shipley, you have all necessary documents and witnesses?
I have documents.
Thank you. You're your only witness?
I am here by myself, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any opening statement, Mr. Novak?
Judge, again, this is a non-payment of rent case. It's a subsidized property. Mr. Shipley, through his employer, submitted some recertification documents. Client received the recertification documents from his employer, calculated the new amount, which is a little higher than what Mr. Shipley had been paying, and he hasn't paid any rent since the end of May. So he owes from June and through the end of November.
Thank you, sir. Any opening statement, Mr. Shipley?
Yes, this is all a big, I don't know what to call it, but the paper that Ms. Hunt, I believe, told me showed that my income was $445 a month. Clearly shows on here that my employer sent me over a paper that says my annual income is roughly $445 a year, not a month. And that's the reason why they put $6,790 in the space for my recertification versus the $445 they're supposed to. So I have two HUD documents right now at this point. One of them was done by Georgia Parr, who's an employee of the National Church Residence. And the other one was done by Yolanda, the one that missed the previous property manager. The one that was done by Georgia Parr showed that my rent is $226 a month. And in the hallway, Miss Hunt told me that this is $445 a month. But directly next to it, I think she didn't read this, it says total anticipated regular earnings for the next 12 calendar months is $445.
Mr. Shipley, I'm reluctant to interrupt you, but it sounds like you're ready to give your testimony.
Yeah,
We're not quite there yet. I'll swear you in and take your testimony when it's your time to present your defense. Right now, it's just your opening statement, just your summation of what the case is about.
okay. Since I moved in January, I have over 100 photographs of filth and trash in the building that I'm happy to present. I also filed a complaint in January with Fair Housing, who turned it over to Civil Rights Division. This was back in January. And Ms. Hunt, nor Yolanda, nor anybody else, they all refused to answer any questions and so right now, we still have a case with Metropolitan Fair Housing that they submitted over to Civil Rights. So that would be my opening statement. This is all.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley. Your first witness, Mr. Novak.
Ms. Hunt?
Ms. Hunt, you're going to come to this podium right here. You would state your first and last name and then spell them for the record, please.
Makita Hunt, Makenda, Hunt.
Ms. Hunt, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am. Now you can move into this black chair that's closest to me. My secretary is taking down your testimony. If she can't hear you, I'll ask you to raise your voice or pull the microphone closer, okay? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Hunt. Can you tell me where you are currently employed at?
I work for National Church Residences as a regional director.
And what is your regional director? Is your
Regional,
job title?
yes.
What does that consist of?
Oversight of 11 senior community properties that are affordable housing.
And are you familiar with the books and records of Ron Villas Tower?
Yes,
Did you review them before coming in and testifying today?
yes, I did.
Did you review the file for Ricky Jahad? Is it Jahad?
Yeah.
Thank you. Shipley.
Yes, I did.
And you have the file with you today?
Yes, I do.
Is Mr. Shipley a tenant currently at Ron Villas Tower?
Yes, he is.
Is he under a lease agreement?
Yes, he is.
What type of lease agreement? Market, subsidized?
He's in a subsidized lease agreement.
Okay, when did this subsidized housing end?
It has not ended. He renewed in April of 2022.
Okay, so in April of 2022, what happens?
He did an annual recertification. Once the paperwork was received verifying his income, his assets, medical expenses, then the paperwork is submitted to our compliance department for review. Once it's approved, we have the resident come down and sign what the new rent will be.
Okay, and did that happen?
Yes, it did.
Before this, what was Mr. Shipley's base rent?
It was 228
Okay, and you received the documentation from Mr. Shipley?
from his employer directly.
Okay. And his employer submitted that documentation to you?
That is correct.
And what did the documentation from his employer indicate?
The income statement, I'm sorry, the employment verification stated that he makes an average of $13 an hour, regular hours of 0 to 10 hours a week, and the overtime rate is $19.50.
Okay,
It-
and based on your policy under the guidelines of the subsidized housing, how do you calculate what his rent is going to be?
So it'd be 13 times 10 times 52.
And that's based on the guidelines for the subsidized housing?
That is correct.
Where did you get that document from?
From his employer, from La Fontaine.
May I see a copy of that, please?
Yes.
Can you pull it out of the file? Ms. Hunt, you received this from Mr. Shipley's employer, correct?
That is correct.
And this is a document that you kept in the course of your regular conducted business activity?
That is correct.
And is it a regular practice to keep these type of records?
That is correct.
Judge, may we introduce, I guess, plaintiff's proposed exhibit number 1, the employment verification from La Fontaine Group?
Yes, sir.
May I?
Yes.
Introduce exhibit number 1?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Again, Ms. Hunt, you received that from the employer of Mr. Shipley,
That is correct.
and based upon the information provided, that's how you calculated Mr. Shipley's new rent?
That is correct.
And what is his new rental rate
This $387
per month?
per month
And when was the last time Mr. Shipley made any payments?
in May of 2022, I'm sorry.
June. It's I have the last rent receipt that she gave back. to me.
Mr. Shipley?
Yeah.
You can't interrupt Mr. Novak's question. No. But pull out what it is that you want to refer to because you'll have the opportunity to cross-examine Ms. Hunt, okay?
If I'm under the lease agreement, is there any late fees associated with not paying rent in a timely fashion?
Yes, there is.
And how much is that?
$20 a month.
$20 per month.
Yes,
Okay, do you have a copy of the lease agreement in the file?
yes.
May I see it, please? Meaning this is a subsidized housing property.
That is correct.
This lease agreement was given the 15th day of March 2021 between Romulus Wayne Limited Dividend Housing Association Limited Partnership and Ricky J. Shipley, is that correct?
That is correct.
This lease agreement is being kept in the course of plaintiff's regular conducting business activity.
Yes,
Is there regular practice to meet and keep these records?
yes.
Mr. Shipley, I'm showing you plaintiff's proposed exhibit number 2 of the lease agreement.
It says on here that the dwelling unit is $264 per month.
Do you agree that this is a lease agreement?
I'm not 100% sure because there have actually been several of them, so I would have to go through those.
Has there been a lease more recent than the March 15, 2021 lease that was attached to the summons in this matter?
I do believe there was one on 4/22. I don't know that I have that one with me, but
While you're looking, Mr. Shipley, for purposes of Mr. Novak's questioning, we'll take claims proposed number 2.
Thank you. May we introduce it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Hunt, was there a subsequent lease entered into between the plaintiff and Mr. Shipley
No,
after this March 15th date?
No, there was not.
And it's back to you. That's a subsidized lease agreement.
Yes, it is.
On the bottom of the first page, it says Mr. Shipley's rent is $264. Can you explain that?
That's what the rent was at the time that he moved in based on his income.
And based on the guidelines pursuant to the contract you have with the subsidized agency, how often does this rent change?
Annually.
And when does Mr. Shipley's annual rent change?
March the 1st, based on his move-in date.
Did you give notice to Mr. Shipley that his rent was going to be increasing based upon the employment verifications made by his employer?
Yes, we did.
Did Mr. Shipley respond?
Yes, he did.
And how did he respond?
He signed the increase notice.
I'm sorry, he signed what?
He signed the rent increase notice?
Okay, so he agreed to it.
Yes,
Okay. And again, he hasn't paid any rent since May?
since, yes, correct, since
Okay.
May.
Is there anything in the county file about complaints with regard to the habitability of Mr. Shipley's unit?
There is not.
Are you aware of any open complaints with regard to Mr. Shipley's apartment?
Yes, I am. Not his apartment, complaints that he had in the building.
Okay, have they been addressed?
Yes, the building inspector also came out and inspected the complainant areas.
When was that done?
There've been several that he's complained about, primarily the trash room. So each time,
I can't hear you.
I apologize. There's been several complaints made about the trash room.
Okay.
And each time the building inspector has come out, I apologize, I don't have dates because I don't physically work at the site.
Okay.
But each time the building inspector has come out, the building has been cleared.
There's no open complaints with the city?
No,
And Mr. Shipley has no open complaints with the management office regarding maintenance or issues with his unit?
correct.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. I have nothing further, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Shipley, now's the time for cross-examination.
Thank you very much.
There are questions that you have for Ms. Hunt, not testimony yet, okay?
Yes. Ms. Hunt, in the hallway, you told me that the certification that came from my employer, that this figure was based on per month. That's not true. It says directly next to it that total anticipated regular earnings for the next 12 calendar months are 455, not per month, for the whole year. For the next 12 calendar months is what it says on here. Initially, I went to Yolanda.
Mr.
and
Shipley?
I did.
Question.
Yes.
You have to ask her a question. If you want to testify about that piece of paper, you can. I'll swear you in and you can give your testimony later, but right now, it's questions to Ms. Hunt relative to the testimony she just gave. It's cross-exam.
Ms. Hunt, are you aware that up to this very date, and I have photos, that the trash room is still a problem? Even as of this past weekend, I have photographs on my phone that show that the trash room is completely filthy. I have pictures of fruit flies.
Mr. Shipley?
But you need to ask a question, sir.
Are you aware of that? Are you aware that consistent?
Let her answer the question first, sir.
No, I'm not as of this morning when I was at the building.
Okay, I'm still having a hard time hearing you.
No, I am not, and I was at the building this morning.
Okay, I have photographs dating back till May, some with dates on them and some in my calendar. Are you aware that I have over 100 photographs going back to May 31st that show the trash room completely unusable? They pile up trash, and I have that here. I also want to,
Mr. Shipley, I know that you're not an attorney, but you have to ask her questions and allow her an opportunity to respond to them. Mr. Novak wants to object because your questioning is not really questioning, it's more testimony. I will take your testimony. When he's done with his case, I'll turn to you, I'll swear you in and you can testify. But if you're asking her questions, it's whatever the question is, you stop, she answers, you can ask your next question. If you're not sure and you don't want to question her, you rather wait until you give your testimony, we can get there as well.
okay, thank you. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Are you aware, I'm sorry, Ms. Hunt, are you aware that in January of this year, way back in January, that I filed a complaint with Metropolitan Fair Housing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are you also aware that up to this very date, today, that you have not, or nobody from Romulus Tower has responded in any way, shape, or form?
That is not true, sir.
It is true. And to Fair Housing. Next thing is, are you familiar with Fair Housing on October 24th, turned that file completely over to the Civil Rights Division?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why would there be no response from Yolanda?
Objection already asked and answered.
I'll try to, she already answered it, that you did?
Yeah, you asked that question and she's already answered it with regard to the fair housing notice.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'll wait till my.
Your testimony.
my
Thank you, Mr.
testimony.
Shipley.
Thank you.
You go back to your seat, sir.
Ms. Hunt?
Yes, sir.
September 26th of this year, did Romulus Tower approve the reasonable accommodation notice that Mr. Shipley had submitted?
Yes, we did.
And was notice sent to Mr. Shipley?
Yes, it was.
And the reasonable accommodation was approved?
Yes, it was.
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hunt, thank you for your testimony. You may step down. Your next witness, Mr. Novak.
Judge, at this time, the claimant is going to rest.
Thank you. Mr. Shipley, now is your time to give testimony. Because you are representing yourself, it's not in the usual form of testimony where there's someone questioning you and you responding. So if you want to give your testimony from where you are, you can stay there, I'll swear you in. If you want to give it from the witness stand, you can move up there as well. Mr. Novak will have the opportunity to question you after you're done testifying, okay?
Okay,
Are you gonna sit there or are you gonna move here?
I can sit here would be fine.
Before you do, sir, I need you to raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Your testimony.
Can I show photographs that are in my phone?
I will look at whatever it is you want to present, but sir, this is a non-payment of rent case.
Do these other issues matter?
They do matter, sir, but I don't want you to get sidetracked by pictures when the primary issue is the payment of rent from May 2022 through the end of this month.
This form that I got from my employer, that after Yolanda told me she got the information from her employer, states that total anticipated regular earnings for the next 12 calendar months are $455 total. My income from 2021, and this is a W-2 form, shows that my total income for last year was only $335. So she based this amount, $6,700 and some dollars, probably multiplying $455 a month times 12. And nor did Yolanda or anybody else in the entire organization give me an opportunity to, I mean, she would never even talk to me. So that's where I'm at. Again, I have a document from Georgia, who's an employee that does these recertifications, that shows my rent is 226. And then this one that is incorrect by Yolanda shows it's 387, and it's based on $6,760 that I made last year that I did not make last year. I only made $375. And again, this form, the projected form, clearly states that my entire estimated income for the entire year is only $445 because I'm just a part-time emergency driver, and that's pretty much all I do.
Mr. Shipley, if there are documents that you want the court to review and consider, you need to show them first to Mr. Novak, and then my court officer will bring them up to me. Good morning, Mr. Polk. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Good morning. I'm trying to find out about an arraignment for a client of mine. He got an airport ticket. I can't get any information, and it's set for arraignment today.
I am not arraignments today. Do you know who is? Judge Oakley? Mr.
Okay.
Polk?
Yep, thank you
Do you
so
need
much.
his, do you need
No,
his
I got
meeting
his-
ID?
No, I haven't. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, sir. Have a good day.
You as well. Be blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sir, you are in the wrong courtroom with the white t-shirt on.
Yeah,
This courtroom is only civil cases today.
But for the
Oh.
next 12 calendar months.
it's a qu- I was given this number for my case.
Okay. Sir, I'm in the middle of a civil case. Give me one
Okay.
second. Mr.
Pardon?
Shipley, you've shown the documents to Mr. Novak?
Yes, I did.
Call him.
Also have more I'd like to show Mr. Novak.
Oh my God.
Those are paperwork pieces.
Damn it.
They're saying that the problem has been corrected.
Sir, would you spell your last name for me, please?
Shipley.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Shipley. Sir, with the white t-shirt, your last
Yeah.
name?
Shepherd, SHEPHERD. Yeah, this is Timothy Shepherd. I'm in the wrong
Mr.
court.
Shepherd, your first name?
Timothy?
Mr. Shepherd, I remember seeing you before
Yeah.
and you
Yeah,
have
totally
let's look,
remember.
give me one second. I'm pulling the case up, sir. 940 with Judge Green. Judge Green is courtroom number 3. If you
Okay.
need her meeting ID, I can give it to you. I don't
Yeah.
have criminal cases this morning.
Yes, ma'am. please.
is 933
933
057
057
8570.
8570. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Harry Kirsch. Bye.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Listen, I'll take it when I can get it. I'm not ready to switch over to Christmas yet. I still have turkey earrings for tomorrow. So, Mr. Shipley, the court has now received, and I apologize to the parties for the interruption, but when we have our Zoom up and people are clearly in the wrong place, I try not to hold them here. The court has received from Mr. Shipley his 2021 W-2 that shows income of $375. The employment verification that indicates his wage rate, regular earnings for the next 12 months is $455. Part-time does not work every week, okay? The certification or compliance signed by, looks like Mr. Shipley in Georgia. Last name starts with a P, from April of this year. With the tenant payment of $226, am I?
That was before the recertification.
That was part of. the
April
research.
21st. Yes, you should, sir.
Ms. Hunt said that the problem.
Nope, you can't stand there. You have to be by a microphone, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Hunt mentioned that the situation with the trash room had been remedied. I have 4 pictures of the trash room that were taken this past weekend that show filth and dirt. And I have over 100 photographs that I started taking in May of last year on a regular basis of fruit flies and the trash room just being totally out of control and unlivable. They get into your apartment. There are more than 100 of them. Some of these do have dates on them, and I would be happy to show this stack to.
Mr. Shipley, is the trash room the reason why you stopped paying rent?
No, ma'am, the reason that I stopped paying rent was because she made a very careless mistake on my paperwork. And it should be evident because I just presented that it's $455 annually and not per month. And therefore, for me to have to pay $100 and some odd dollars a month extra as a result of her mistake. And Your Honor, I don't know whether this is wrong to say, but I sincerely believe that everything that has been done to me for as long as I've been there was done intentionally. I started documenting. I was a little concerned when I first moved in because of the way that she was talking to me. I have serious health issues with my feet and my back. She showed me an apartment that was $615 that would have worked real good. And when I went downstairs and heard, instead of saying, Mr. Shipley, that apartment is already taken or for some unusual reason, but she just looked at me and she said, you ain't getting that one. And then the next time I came in, I had to wait 2 hours for her to even talk to her. So that's the time that I had to start documenting everything that was going on in the building because I was very nervous about the way that I've been being treated and was very concerned. Yolanda had never given me a parking spot. Yolanda never even though I sent them certified mail and I have returned receipts, she wouldn't even list my emergency contact. And I'm alone, Your Honor. If something happened to me, I probably would end up getting thrown in the trash instead of being able to have my emergency contact contacted and arranged for me to have some of the things that I would like to have when I die. It's just been a total nightmare since I moved in, and again, it's been devastation. This, along with several others, is a document that was prepared. This is my annual recertification package. I was asked to be downstairs on 11/14, which was most recently Monday at 2 p.m. I went down, I was there in plenty of time, and the new manager there, Mr. El Chakiri, came out and he said, we can't do this now.
Objection, hearsay.
Pardon?
Objection, hearsay.
This is evidence that shows that I had an appointment on 11/14/22, and that he just came out after putting me, have to go to get a letter from Social Security and what have you. He walked out the hallway and canceled it. I couldn't show this. Would you like to see this?
I'll look at whatever you pass up to me. The rule is just that you have to show him, and I saw you just present it, and he waved you off, so you hand it to Officer
I've
Brooks,
seen it, Judge.
he'll pass it up to me. Thank you.
So again, Your Honor, I went downstairs. It was very time consuming. I sat and waited for my appointment, and he told me that we needed to wait until after my court date, which is something I really couldn't understand, because I'm sure the court and everybody else would prefer that they would move forward to try to resolve it in a more diplomatic way. I also want to say that I know that I've tried real hard to move and to get into other places. They're very few and far between, Your Honor. And it's very, very difficult to be able to, not only be able to get into a place, but to be able to, I mean, my income, my total income right now, as of the papers I submitted, are only $11,000 a year. Fortunately, I have an 808 credit score, because that's what I do, and I know judges like to hear stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, so, but anyway, I have to do the best I can with what I got. This is an amount of $227, $1 more than it was supposed to be, because the previous month was $1 short. This was returned, it's June 2022 rent, so I do owe June, July, August, September, October, and November. $226 a month times 6 months, which would get me through the end of the month of November, are already in escrow. So, and this is a check, I don't know if you need to see it, but it shows that in June of 2022, she paperwork there would show that my rent was only going to be $226 a month. I can show you this check if you need to.
Mr. Shipley, I will look at whatever it is you want to pass up to me after Mr. Novak has seen it.
No objection, Judge.
Thank you. Somebody else looking for you?
There is probably 5 or 6 people looking.
Anything else, Mr. Shipley?
There is a, unless I had already presented it, there is a lease that I signed that shows my rent to be it says 264, but underneath it, it says 227, I'm not sure whether.
You referenced it, but you did not pass it up yet. And what was in the court file and the one that I reviewed is the one from last year. While you're looking for that, Mr. Shipley, Mr. Novak, do you have a signed copy of the certification changing the rent to the 387?
Look, Judge.
I'm asking because what Mr. Shipley passed to me that signed April 21st has a 226 amount. You said that was from before the recertification. Is that the lease, Mr. Shipley?
Yes, it is, Your Honor. Would you like me to present this to?
Absolutely.
Underneath it, it says
Judge, this is exactly the same document that I provided to the court in the filing as well as what I handed to you. It's
No,
dated
Your
March
Honor.
15th, 2021.
Hold on one second.
It's dated the same date, March 15th, 2021, and it has a 264 amount on the bottom right-hand corner.
Okay, Your Honor, so if this lease says my rent is $227 a month, and they're charging me $387. And
Mr. Novak is saying it's the signed lease that he presented this morning and that's already in the court file. And the lease that is in the court file is from March 2021. Is what you have in your hand from more recently than March 2021?
This lease agreement is entered into this 15th day of March in 2021. But I don't believe that the lease that he submitted to the court has my signature on it. I don't believe that.
It is signed by you, Mr. Shipley. It's dated March 15, 2021. I review them before I come out. I review the file in its entirety.
Is that the one that says that my rent is 226 or the one that says it's 387?
It says 264.
Okay, well, if that says 264, why are they telling me that my rent is 287? Because underneath the 264, it is readjusted as a result of utilities and would come up on different pages being 227. But from 224 or 226 to 264 is not my biggest concern. What is my concern that everything be done adequate and honest. And I do want to say again that I have tried as hard as I could over the past couple of years to find a place to live. And again, you shook your head, yes, it's almost impossible. And I mean, I've tried it.
Mr. Shipley, I spent years as a landlord's attorney and years as a tenant's attorney. I understand how hard it is to find the kind of housing you need. To answer your question, the lease is from March of 2021 that shows the rent of $264 with a utility allowance of $37. Mr. Novak's questioning of Ms. Hunt elicited testimony that the rent changed subsequent to that at your recertification. And I'm not trying to cut you off, but I'm trying to get us to what the rental issue is. And I asked Mr. Novak for a signed copy of the new rental rate because you passed one up to the court that signed April 22nd showing rent of 226. If he has a different amount signed subsequent to that,
Judge, may I show Mr.
yes, please.
It's dated April 26th, and we moved, 387 per month, effective June 1st.
Yes.
This is their signature right here.
But this signature has nothing to do with this paper here, nothing whatsoever. This signature has absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever.
Were you done testifying, Mr. Shipley? I've interrupted you because I'm trying to keep us. Thank you.
No, Your Honor, I just want you to be aware that the incorrect amount of $6,730 is 100% incorrect, and by the evidence that I have provided, it is more than obvious that she based my rent on that amount of money that I was subsequently supposed to make this year, which is $6,730, and the actual amount is $445, an estimated for the entire year. And so therefore, that's the problem. The problem is that's a big mistake, and it's been devastating. And this is the fourth time I've been in court.
Fourth time you've been in,
I have nothing further, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
you said this is the fourth time you've been in court?
For this, yes, this is my fourth appearance here before either you or, this is the fourth appearance that I've had in this courtroom for this particular situation.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley.
And the photographs, we don't have to concern with, I don't think, if you want to see, did you see the ones of that's still going on? In other words, this past weekend, I went down and I took some photographs of the trash room. And again, the trash room is not necessarily the only reason that I left. It's a number of things, but the biggest issue is I tried to pay my rent in June, and she rejected it, and it was the correct amount. And I was never, as hard as I tried, ever been able to pay rent again or do anything to try to get the situation resolved in any way. Nobody would talk to me. Nobody. There was nothing I could do. I sent several photographs to the owner of the company. He apparently responded by terminating Rhonda. I don't.
Objection.
Let's not guess
Okay.
why Yolanda's no longer there, okay?
I don't want to.
What'll happen, Mr. Shipley, is take your seat right now. Officer Brooks is gonna retrieve those pictures. Mr. Novak is going to ask you his questions, his cross-examination of you, and I'm gonna look at the pictures while he's asking you some questions. I'm not gonna take your phone, sir. I'll take you at your word that the pictures are representative of the situation.
Yeah, some of them have the dates on them, most of them don't, but they go back to May 31st.
Thank you, sir.
Some of them are duplicates, Your Honor, but I still have several more at home. I just grabbed the stack this morning.
Mr. Novak,
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Shipley, you indicated that these pictures are not the reason why you're reporting.
It's one of the reasons why I'm withholding my rent at this point, but no, to answer your question, no, that's not why I withheld my rent. The reason I withheld my rent is because the rent amount is clearly wrong. That's why.
Have you talked to your employer about the?
Yes, I did.
What did they say?
They said that the amount that they had on here is $445 annually. That's what they said. And the reason that I went to them was because Yolanda told me that she got this, another one from my employer that said it was considerably higher than that, and that wasn't true.
I have no further questions, Judge.
thank you. Mr. Novak, Mr. Shipley has tendered up to the court the employment verification. Have you had an opportunity to speak to your client regarding Mr. Shipley's assertions that the recertification includes an overestimation of what his rent would, what is,
I have, Judge.
okay,
And my client's response, and she can testify, and I believe she testified to it earlier, was based upon the guidelines of the subsidized program. They take the highest amounts, and that's how they arrived at the $19.50 per hour times the hours to arrive at the $6,000 annual salary. Is that correct, Ms.
her
Hunt?
testimony was 13 times 10 times 52. And the concern I have, I guess, is that it's been a while since I've had subsidized case. But his employer indicates that he doesn't work every week. So I guess I'm concerned that there may be some merit to Mr. Shipley's argument.
But I believe the guidelines, Ms. Hunt, can you testify as to how you arrived at the number that you did, the
Yes.
$6,000?
Yes, so
Objection,
we
Your
have
Honor,
to
she already
use,
testified.
Mr. Shipley, I'm asking a question because
I'm
what,
sorry.
no, it's my question because it's not clear to the court how what was on the sheet turned, how, what was on the sheet from your employer turned into $6,000 in income.
Ms. Hunt?
okay, so yes, it does state that he's part-time and he doesn't work every week, but they didn't give a guideline of how many weeks, which is what we asked Mr. Shipley to verify. He refused to verify that. So we have to use the annual 52 weeks at part-time, $13 an hour times 10 hours, times 52 weeks until we get something that says something different.
Is that based on the guidelines through the program?
Yes,
So you're saying that after Mr. Shipley got this information from his employer in December of 21, someone from Romulus Towers would have said to him, you need to get greater specificity from your employer?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Did that happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it happened.
Yes, I sent the letter via FedEx. to
You
him
sent the letter.
Personally, 3 times, and he refused to sign it.
You sent the letter to Mr. Shipley to get clarification from his employer regarding the number of hours per week or projected per year, and Mr. Shipley failed to respond.
Yes.
And you sent it to him how?
Via FedEx.
FedEx.
Yes, ma'am.
Not true, Your Honor.
And there's something in your file that shows that that's how you sent the letter back to him by FedEx, or your letter requesting more information?
It is not in the file.
Then how do you know that's how it was sent? Do you remember just because it's Mr. Shipley and because of the issue?
No, yes, because I sent it personally.
And it was because Mr. Shipley.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And is it, Mr. Novak, help me, and Ms. Hunt, is it too late to do anything about the rent that would have accrued from June until now?
Judge, it's my understanding based upon the program that Mr. Shipley is part of, it doesn't apply retroactively, however, it could be applied prospectively. Is that correct, Ms. Hunt?
That is correct.
So if Mr. Shipley can get some information from his employer showing more specific information relative to his earnings, he would obviously amend his rent going forward. But sadly, I don't think the program allows anything to be applied retroactively. Is that correct, Ms.
And
Hunt?
I can verify that with our compliance department
How long has Mr. Shipley been a tenant?
since 2021.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Novak?
Nothing further, Judge.
Anything else, Mr. Shipley?
Yes, Your Honor, what I submitted to you that I got from my employer clearly shows that my annual income is $445 a year, not a month. I don't believe I've made that much this year yet. It's already November. So I don't understand how they can, let me explain. My job, I'm an emergency driver. That's all I do, period. I'm very handicapped. I have a damaged spine, but I can drive. And an emergency driver means that they may call me tomorrow and ask me if I would go to New York on Thursday to do a dealer trade. I can either accept or reject based upon whether or not I have other things going on because you don't have enough time to be able to do that. So that's all I do several days a year. There is no way to justify any kind of submission for an hourly rate or what have you. That's not how my employment works. I work when I can, and I work as much as I can. Right now, my mother's in a nursing home dying, and so I'm really not doing much work at all, and don't intend to do any more this year. But that's what the situation is, Your Honor. The paperwork that I submitted to you clearly shows that I make $445 a year. It's very clear. And because it says right next to it, annual, 12 calendar months, my income should be $445. I don't know what they're disputing. So I don't understand how they have any kind of reasonable recourse or tell you that, there's something else. There's a bigger picture here based upon some other, what appears to me to be frivolous ways to be able to do that. But the fact remains, and I can show that I've contacted so many people over the past year. Linda from HUD, and I was working with another lady named Hoffman. I'm still working with all of these people right now. I've contacted everybody in the world to try to get some sort of response or something done reasonable, and instead I'm here. I've never been able to accomplish anything. And again, with the form that I showed you that they dragged me down for nothing on the 14th of this past month, they rejected it. Rejection has been the name of the game with me, with them. That's what it was. I don't know why, but it started right when I moved in, and that's when I started taking photographs, complaints to fair housing, etc. I have nothing further.
Anything else, Mr. Novak?
Judge, again, client testified that she was based on the employment verification Mr. Shipley had submitted to his employer, used the guidelines that is mandated, came up with a number. Mr. Shipley objected. 3 different packages were sent to Mr. Shipley asking for re-verification through his employer. Nothing has happened. We're here today. We would ask the court for a judgment for the past 6 months plus late fees.
Mr. Shipley, no, we're done, Mr. Shipley. The court has had the opportunity to review the documents, and Mr. Shipley, the court heard your argument regarding your employment information and wages, and it does say 12 calendar months, 455. The problem is you then appeared and signed a document acknowledging and agreeing that your rent was $387 per month.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Shipley, you did. I'm looking at your signature on this document from April 26, 2022, which is On April 21st, you signed that says 226 as your tenant rent. And then a week later, 5 days later, you sign one that says 387 per month. The court is required to rely on the documents that the parties submit in making a decision in this matter. And there's been no explanation as to why you would sign that 387 if that weren't the appropriate rental rate.
I had no idea that I signed it, Your Honor. I had no idea, and I know that I had signed one, like you just said, previous to that, which was the right amount. So I had no, I mean, having all of this piled behind you all at one time, going through all this, is sometimes a difficult situation. I based everything on the fact that my annual income projection for this entire year is $445. So, assuming that I did sign it and that's going to be held against me, wouldn't it be, something else to kind of maybe, wait a minute, this guy is right. He didn't have to pay $6,730. He only had to show $445. Again, it all got very confusing and it's been going on for so long, but I know that I signed the document with Ms. Carr showing me that my rent would be $226 a month. That's what I signed. So I don't know about the other documents. And could you show me my signature on the document where I said it was 387? That might be a legal.
Ken. It's on the same page. These go back to him, it's his, and these go back to Mr. Novak, but if you would show him that on top. Mr. Shipley, you heard me inquire of Mr. Novak if it was too late to go back and re-examine the issue because there is I put a paper right on top. Your signature is on the left side of the page and the 387 is on the right side of the page. So, and you heard me ask Mr. Novak if it was too late to go back and reevaluate based on the fact that there is some question about the employer verification information. And if it's Ms. Hunt's testimony that documents were sent to you to which you did not respond, or the court has to take her at her word, she's a sworn witness this morning, you have the signed document that says that you agree and acknowledge that the most recent signed document that says that you agree and acknowledge that your rent is $387 per month, and your testimony this morning that you have not in fact paid it, and there should now be $2,322 in rent due and owing. Mr. Novak further indicated that while they can't go back and make adjustments, they can calculate based on your actual income prospectively, correct, Ms. Hunt?
Yes, that's
So, Mr. Shipley, the court's ruling would be that you owe the $2,322 in rent that is due and owing. There is $1,356 in court escrow based on your calculations of the $226 per month in rent. What I would suggest to you, sir, is that you follow up with building management regarding your rental verification, your employment verification, a more accurate documentation of what your projected wages are. Mr. Novak's office will submit the judgment that shows the past due rent plus the court filing costs and service fees.
Again, this is a document that is my complete HUD package that the new property manager told me that we could do this after court. The evidence that she said that she submitted that through Federal Express, nothing has ever been submitted through Ms. Hunt to me through Federal Express or most other means. So that's not all true. Furthermore, if she did submit something Federal Express and we're in court here today, why would she not have documentation of it?
Mr. Shipley, that was the court's inquiry to Ms. Hunt. The court is bound by the April 26, 2022 document that you signed, the $387 per month. If that document hadn't been signed, if Mr. Novak hadn't produced a signature where you were acknowledging that, it would have been a different conversation. Or if the rental rate had been on a different page than your signature, that'd be a different conversation. But right now, that April 26th is the most recent statement of what your rental rate would be going forward. The court's made its ruling. Mr. Novak will submit his judgment. The court will sign it. And I guess it'd be appropriate for you to get your recertification rescheduled with the building manager now. And if you see going forward a rental rate that you don't believe is accurate, you have to be more mindful. That's not the right word, Mr. Shipley, more mindful, more diligent is probably a better word, more diligent in following up with them and getting information from your employer. If your 2022 W-2 looks like your 2021, that's your responsibility to make sure that management's aware of your true financial situation.
Judge,
I know I tried to bring the shades down, sir, but they don't.
Judge, it's okay. What was the amount that you came up with? I'm sorry.
2322 is 6 months at 387, right?
Plus the late fees?
Mr. Novak, respectfully, no.
Okay, 2322, Judge. This court does.
Do I have a right to appeal?
You always have a right to appeal, sir.
Do I do that down here?
The clerks could print out the paperwork for you, sir. Of course you do.
The total amount is 2555. That's inclusive of 233 court cost, Judge. And I have the writ date. December 7th.
I appreciate that, Mr. Novak. The other issue is that there is 1356 in escrow monies that could be released to the plaintiff.
If you want under further orders, Judge, either I or you can write that the escrow will be released to the plaintiff.
I would prefer to do an appeal first.
Here's the issue. You can do your appeal, Mr. Shipley. You can go downstairs and the clerks can print out the paperwork for you. When we were here previously with Mr. Herman, you indicated that you do continue to live there and there is rent due and owing. So what would be the basis for not releasing the escrow to the plaintiff?
That the additional amount of money that the court shows that I owe is wrong. So I believe if I take that money and put it in escrow, that would have nothing to do with the actual amount. And if I could just ask one more question. When this recertification is done by the new property manager over there, and it shows that my rent is supposed to be $226 a month, would I have any recourse other than an appeal?
Would you have?
You would have to take that out.
I was gonna say that's-
Third-party agency that's-
Whoever it is that administers the program that provides the subsidy. Because Mr. Shipley, I don't know what the specific rules are regarding your recertification, how far back they could look, or would they ever look to recalculate your rent. I don't know. My job this morning is look at the documents presented by the parties and make a determination whether there's unpaid rent due and owing to the plaintiff, and I've done that this morning. Anything else, Mr. Novak?
Nothing further, Judge. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Shipley?
No, Your Honor. Would it be possible to obtain copies of the transcript?
You can order the transcript from Mary Ann,
Thank you.
but Mr. Shipley, that it is your absolute right to proceed how you wish in this matter. I would suggest to you, though, that if there is someone who is able to assist you, it may be submitting, I don't know what the appeals process is for the program that administers your subsidy. I don't know, but there might be something else available to you.
Would this appeal have to go before circuit court downtown?
It does.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Novak.
We have none of our exhibits, correct?
No, I've passed everything back to you.
Thank you, Judge. Have a
You too, thank you. Have a good day, Ms. Hunt. Mr. Shipley, thank you for.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I
I
can.
can hear you. Please don't scream. We're in
Yeah.
open court right now.
I gotta mute it, maybe.
There is a woman with a, looks like black shirt with gray shoulders and lion print on the front. It's identified as Kelly Damron.
Yes,
Ma'am, what are you here for?
I am here for my Zoom hearing, pre-trial or pre-sentence INT. It said
Ma'am, you're in the
Zoom.
wrong place. If you're here for your pre-sentence for a criminal case, you should be with probation.
Oh, okay.
Is
I
the
am
Zoom
so
I,
sorry,
is the
Your
Zoom
Honor.
ID on there? Do you see a Zoom ID number on your notice?
Yes, ma'am, we put it in there and this is where it brought me.
Is it, it brings you to 580?
580-707-8882.
You're in the wrong place. You should be with probation. Do you know what that number is?
I'm gonna find a pen real quick, okay, ma'am?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm all new with all this.
No, ma'am, you're fine. Well,
I think that's me too then.
Okay,
I
I'm ready,
don't
Your
know the
Honor.
number. You have to give me a moment. I don't use that number, so I don't know what it is. Let me see if I can figure out where you are supposed to be.
How long do I have to come up with the rest of the money?
It says 10 days, but sir, I won't sign a writ if there's payments being made in this matter.
In December, I can put in another.
You won't pay the escrow to me. You'll pay it to them.
Okay, and then we'll accept it.
Yes, you're welcome. I think that number is, you know what? Oh. Is it Emily's? It's 726
726
552
552
5129.
5129. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
You're so welcome.
All right, you have a blessed day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
All right,
Gentleman
bye-bye.
in the
Excuse
blue
me.
shirt, that was your same issue?
Yes, ma'am. I had that same number and everything as well. So just go on there and
Would you please?
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And then there's a gentleman, looks like, I don't know if it's a white collar or a hoodie that you're wearing.
Yeah, blue
Yep.
collar. Yep, I think
Blue
I'm the
collar.
same thing.
Okay. I think that's where you belong. I know it's not with me this morning because I only have one other case and it's
Okay.
not a criminal case.
All right, have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question, please.
Absolutely.
How long do I have? Because appeal is like a torture.
It's,
Especially when I have to go downtown to circuit court.
it says 10 days.
I only have 10 days to appeal. Is there any way to get an extension?
I can't give you legal advice, Mr. Shipley, not because I don't want to, it's because I can't. So they can print out the appeals packet downstairs for you.
Okay, and is there anybody that can give me that advice other than an attorney?
No, sir.
Thank you, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Mr. O'Connell, good morning. Ms. Brewer, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Do you need to speak to each other? Or are you ready to proceed?
I'm ready.
Ready to proceed? Sorry, go ahead.
This is 222669 GC. This is Brewer versus Spirit Airlines. May I have your appearances, please?
Tim O'Connell appearing on behalf of the defendant and movement Spirit Airlines. Good morning, Your Honor.
Janine Brewer. Plaintiff.
Thank you. Today is the day and time set for hearing on the plaintiff's motion for summary disposition. Mr. O'Connell, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. We are before the court this morning on Spirit's motion for summary disposition under MCR 2.116 C10, seeking a dismissal with prejudice of plaintiff's breach of contract claim. I know the court reads the papers and the exhibits, so I won't belabor any of the points raised in there. certainly available to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll keep my comments brief. Plaintiff had a flight on March 13th, 2022 that was canceled by Spirit Airlines from Las Vegas, a return flight from Las Vegas to Detroit. Spirit offered a reaccommodation flight on March 16th, which was declined by plaintiff, who instead elected to purchase airfare on another airline, and plaintiffs essentially seeking reimbursement for the airfare on that other airline, as well as some consequential incidental damages, such as hotel costs, meals, and transportation. And this claim, Your Honor, as painstakingly laid out in Spirit's motion papers, is governed by Spirit's contract of carriage, a federally regulated contract that Spirit has, as do all the other airlines. And the contract of carriage clearly demonstrates that there was no breach here by Spirit. Spirit has no liability for failing to operate a flight according to schedule, as was the case here. And Spirit is not liable to plaintiff here for any alleged damages, including specifically the airfare she purchased on another airline that's expressly disclaimed in the contract of carriage, as are all the other damages plaintiff is claiming here, including all consequential and incidental damages. So essentially, as laid out in the papers, Your Honor, including the affidavits attached thereto, Spirit, as a matter of law, did not breach the contract of carriage, and plaintiff is not entitled to recover any of her alleged damages as a matter of law, and therefore Spirit is entitled to summary disposition under MCR 2.116 C10.
Thank you. Ms. Brewer, your response.
As far as the contract of carriage, as far as I'm aware of, from the Federal Code of Regulations, specifically 14 CFR Section 253.5, Spirit must give notice either on a ticket or on a written instrument given to the passenger that embodies the contract of carriage and incorporates the terms by reference to the contract of carriage. I have not received anything written, and Spirit is a ticketless airline, so there was no way for them to embody that contract of carriage on the ticket. So that was not, that does not apply to this case because of that regulation.
Anything else, Ms. Brewer?
I am just seeking breach of contract due to the fact that when I booked my flight with Spirit, they agreed to return myself and my luggage to Detroit on a certain date and a certain time in exchange for the price of the ticket. And they canceled my flight and did not provide any accommodations for the 4 days that they expected me to wait to get another flight back to Detroit. And that's the case that I had to find alternate ways of transportation back to Detroit because I did have to work the following day. I could not wait 4 days in the airport with no accommodations. And that's my argument.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. O'Connell?
Just quickly to respond to plaintiff's argument regarding the notice provisions under the federal aviation regulations. Spirit cited in its reply brief at length federal court authority holding that the ticketless booking page that Spirit provides to all passengers who book airfare on Spirit's website, including plaintiff here, that in fact those reservations cannot be made and are blocked unless and until the purchasing party clicks a box acknowledging that he or she has read the terms and conditions, which in this case includes the contract of carriage. Again, that is provided by way of affidavit evidence by Spirit Airlines, as well as some screen captures showing that plaintiff here could not have accepted her fare and booked her reservation unless and until she accepted those terms and conditions. So responding to that argument alone for purposes of this oral argument, Your Honor, Spirit will leave it at that and otherwise rest on its briefs. And again, request that the plaintiff's breach of contract claim be dismissed with prejudice. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Because of where this court is situated, this court is familiar with the contract of carriage and how such contracts are made aware to the flying public or reference to the flying public. Court has had the opportunity to read the defendant's motion in its entirety, including all of its attachments, as well as the plaintiff's response to the motion. The court will grant the defendant's motion for the reasons provided in that motion. Mr. O'Connell, I did not see a proposed order attached to your motion. Did I miss it?
You did not, Your Honor, but we would certainly be willing to submit an order under the 7-day rule, and we'll do so promptly.
If you would, it'd be greatly appreciated. Anything else in this matter, Mr. O'Connell?
Not from Spirit. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Brewer?
No, not at this time.
Thank you. That
Thank
concludes
you.
this matter. Mary Ann, that concludes our docket. This court stands adjourned.
Okay.